Hi, hello, welcome to our Centerpiece Weekend at the Indian Film Festival of Cincinnati. I hope you guys enjoyed the beautiful film that you just watched, Ahaa Re. And Ahaa Re is by Ranjan Ghosh. And what a lovely, pure, romantic story it was. I mean, it really, really touched me, and I enjoyed it so, so very much. I hope you did too. And with us today, is the very young, the very brilliant director, Ranjan Ghosh. Welcome, Ranjan. Welcome.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, Rati ma'am. It is an honor for me to represent my team with our film at this beautiful film festival of yours, the Indian Film
Oh, thank
Festival of
you.
Cincinnati. We
Thank
are
you.
honored.
That's very kind. And to interview him is Dr. Anu Mitra, professor at the Union Institute and University Graduate Program in Interdisciplinary Studies. She teaches visual culture. She's a Fulbright scholar and a trustee of the Cincinnati Art Museum. Anu is going to introduce Ranjan to you, and you are going to love this lively interview. So sit back, enjoy, and learn about the story behind the story from none other than the director, Ranjan Ghosh. All yours, Anu.
Okay, well, Rati, thank you so much for that lovely introduction. Ranjan, welcome. Welcome to Cincinnati. As a Bengali myself, I welcome you with open arms. And of course, the Indian community here is equally generous and hospitable. So, just a little bit about your background before we jump into the movie. And you have achieved so much in your young life. So you were born and raised in Durgapur, more or less, and you studied at Saint Xavier School in Durgapur. You studied physics at Jadavpur University, and you made these amazing connections between Sir Isaac Newton's, very nerdy interest in science, of course, him being a scientist in gravity, but also having this deep interest in the occult, in witchcraft, and so on and so forth. And how do these contradictions come together? And then, physics did not hold your interest, so you left physics to go roam around the world for 4 or 5 years as part of the Merchant Navy. And then when you came back, you still got a degree in nautical sciences from the University of Mumbai, and eventually joining Subhash Ghai's Whistling Woods International School in Mumbai, where you graduated with a major in screenwriting. So that's a lot. And from there, right after graduation, you made your screenwriting debut with no one else but Aparna Sen in Iti Mrinalini in 2011. You collaborated with her on that screen play, and you are the only collaborator that she has ever had. So that speaks volumes about your level of talent. You made your directorial debut in 2014 in the critically acclaimed Reed Majhare. It's a Bengali feature film inspired by the plays of William Shakespeare, no less. And it was the first film in the Bengali language based on Julius Caesar, Othello, and Macbeth, if I'm not mistaken. And it was released in time to honor Shakespeare's 450th birthday. So, such great coincidences and such amazing experiences coming together. And of course, this Reed Majhare was critically acclaimed. It is included in New York University's PhD in Cinema Studies curriculum. And in 2014, it was also recommended by Film London in its list of world cinema based on Shakespearean plays. So, what a huge, huge honor. Um, um, so, Ahaa Re was the third feature film that you've made in 2019, and what an amazing film. I watched it twice, and I loved it even more the second time. Um, And I think you really honed in on the fact that, the simple act of cooking is really following a set of instructions, a set of directions. But it's so much more than that. I mean, in order for magic to happen, one has to not only use one's imagination and intuition, but really trust one's gut and really reflect on things and dream on things. And it's not akin to making a gourmet situation of a relationship as well. So talk to us about how you came to put cooking and love in the same part, so to speak, and have the magic flow.
Such a wonderful introduction, ma'am, and it is an honor to be spoken thus. And thank you so much for putting it so lucidly and so brilliantly. Um, about Ahaa Re, the origination was the year I started writing was in the same year when Rid Majar had released. That was in 2014. Now, basically, I am a foodie and I eat anything and everything, but I cannot cook to save my life. I can just whip up an omelette maybe, but other than that, I just cannot cook. But I'm a foodie. So after Red Major, I was wondering what next. What kind of film should I uh, attempt for my next film as my second film? So I started writing a story of a chef because since I cannot cook, then my hero or my protagonist, it's like a dream that he should be that master chef. Since I cannot cook, it's an aspirational value. Then my hero should be a master chef and he should be able to cook up anything in the kitchen. So that was the starting point. Now it so happens that I have my roots, my ancestral roots, both my parents' side, both my father and mother. The ancestral roots are from Horitpur in Bangladesh, and so my ancestors hail from there, and they had come to India during the partition, and my parents were born here. So I thought that, so, and also I had this aspirational value of going to Bangladesh. I have never been there, I have never been there before the shoot of this film. So that was also an aspirational value that my hero should be from the Opar Bangla, from the other side of Bengal, And so it so happened that since the film was based in the present and now, he happened to be a Muslim. He just happened to be a Muslim because the film is based in here and now. And so when he travels to India, he comes to this part of Bengal, Epar Bangla. It so happened that he met a woman who is a Hindu Brahmin. It just happened like that organically. And
yeah,
yes, Boshundhara. He met Boshundhara, and Boshundhara happened to be a Hindu Brahmin, a Bengali Brahmin. And then Boshundhara also did not belong to the same class that he came from. He was more sophisticated and more young, a different body language, a different status, culture, class, etc. Boshundhara would be the usual middle class home cook who was running a home delivery service, And then these two met, And after that, I became kind of a chronicler of their journey. And when I am saying that I became a chronicler of their journey, I'm really meaning that. It's not that I had thought of the story and I had thought of the ending. Nothing I knew. I just thought that, okay, I just followed them and, how they would react, what happens then, what happens after this, So they kind of, those characters kind of took their own lives and started reacting with one another, started interacting with one another, and I'm a romantic at heart. So this guy started following her, not exactly stalking her, but started following her and, taking interest in her and how she responded. So I kind of just followed their journey and started chronicling it. This is how Ahaa Re began.
Beautiful, beautiful. And in the scenes in the kitchen, especially, of course, food, as you know, cooking food, and whether you're following a recipe or not, it's such an intimate act. And in the kitchen, when both of them were cooking together, they were so close to each other, but never touching. There was so much restraint, so much respect for what was going on and what they were creating. And so food is a metaphor for this bigger relationship that is also being created magically. And it's no wonder then that Otonubabu delves in magic, right? So there are so many beautiful themes that come together. So my question, Ranjan, is like you said, you let things evolve and the characters took a life of their own. Um, are you generally exploratory, and are you generally a magician yourself and you let magic happen? How do you go about this very large process of taking so much material and making complete, coherent, and beautiful sense of all of this?
It's something that I had as a child, and I was kind of hailed in school for that. Is that I am a very patient human being, and as a child also, I have been a very patient child. I believe in patience, and also I know, and we all know that cooking is a lot about patience and not hurrying, and kind of exploring and kind of taking its time and let the things blend with one another, and you give it time and see how it is developing, and add the right ingredients. These are also very so this patience is a very like inherent thing in me, and I do believe I have a lot of interest in magic realism and surrealism and magic in general. I do have like magic tricks at home, and the whole thing about magic, that Otanu Babu is trying to play with magic and card tricks. That I took up from my father, because my father would be doing a lot of this. Like he would be playing a lot of cards, like this patience game and all that, all by himself. And he would be trying at something, and he would, and I would be like, Baba, what are you doing? Why are you spending so much time learning something? It's a new card trick, He's no more now. So, but I remember that about him, that he was a very patient man and who would be learning, trying to learn something new in card tricks. And I myself am interested in this magic and magic realism and all. So this whole Otunbabu's thing came from there, about a certain person who is at his old age, but I did not make it very humdrum or something very heavy. I tried to make it lighthearted.
Yes.
And and so he tells these kind of things, that there is no age to learn something new. And I have this Rakush gone, and I have patience. I'm even I want to see it to the end. I want to follow it till it's realized. So that came from there, my patience, my ability to probably see things through. I don't leave things incomplete. Like even if I have to read a newspaper news item, and if it like even if it is boring and I'm sort of fed up, that I am not liking this news, out of my practice since childhood, I would complete that entire news item. If I start something, I would see it till the end. I would see it to the end of it. So that has been my thing, that if I start something, I want to end it. It should not be left incomplete.
Right.
So that also requires a lot of patience.
Yes.
So I think also to write this script, which had some 17 drafts of screenplay from 2014-15 till the time it was filmed in 2018, January, February. In these 3 years, I had written total 17 drafts of the screenplay. And I had made a feature film in between my second film, which script was written earlier. So I think this patience and all these interests of mine, all that kind of came together.
Came together. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I wanted to ask you about the big themes. And one of the big themes, of course, is you incorporating the Hindu Muslim, unity coming together. Uh, and then somewhere in there, when Raja, the main character, is walking the streets of Kolkata by way of getting to know the city, he hears this French song. And I was very intrigued by that. And then, of course, later on in Boshundhara's kitchen. She's cooking, and Atanu Babu comes in and says, through poetry, they speak through poetry. So all of these different influences. Um, how did you come upon, so many different kinds of influences? Because basically, reaching out to Opar, Opar Bangla, which is yeah, Bangladesh, reaching out to the both Bengals and bringing people together, that is something that is completely conceivable. But where does French music come from? Where does, uh, poetry of the bards come from? Into the ordinary
Um,
circumstance of the kitchen, you know.
right, right. To answer your first point about the Hindu-Muslim thing, the moment it had become a Muslim guy who is coming over to India and meeting a Hindu girl or a Hindu woman, and they're having a scene, that kind of a thing, that they're having an affair and all that. I somehow knew that I followed this thing from our Upanishad, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that the world is one family. And I do believe that the love story is between two individuals, and the religious identities or the externally imposed identities on us, like that of caste, creed, color, even sex these days, or this religion, they should not matter. These are identities which are imposed upon us by the society, and these are artificial identities. And these identities should not have anything to play between two individuals who want to come together. And so I have treated the Hindu Muslim identity in a very I have turned them redundant. There is nothing to do with the Hindu and Muslim identities of these two people other than mere mentions of it, that this is a Hindu girl and that is a Hindu boy. Other than it, I never made it, I saw to it that this Hindu Muslim identity should not come in between them, because I believe they should not. It should not. If religion has any importance in our lives today, in this age of science and in this age of technology, if religion has any role to play in our lives, that can only be as an unifying force and not as a divisive one. So that is the only thing that religion, the only role that religion can have in our lives. So that was a point that was there in my mind, for which I turned the entire religious angle redundant. And also I turned that age difference between the girl and the guy. I mean, we always ask is like, how old is the girl, and how young is the girl, and how older is the girl, guy to the girl. We are always interested in these age equations. So I kind of flipped it, and also it served my story that that Boshundhara is 5 years or 6 years elder to Arifin Shubho, is elder to Raja. And when this is mentioned by the brother, the father just, just brushes it aside with a toe.
Yes.
He doesn't even get into the discussion. How does it matter if the girl is older, and why should it matter? That kind of a thing. So these were the things that I wanted to incorporate in. Regarding the French song, it so happened that when Raja was going through the city of Kolkata and discovering the city of Kolkata through the eateries, the food joints, the roadside eateries, etc., we had a montage, and we needed some kind of a music or a song, to go with it. And I did not want it to be another Bengali song playing in the background, because that would be something that I don't want. Now, this French connection comes from the common interest of the French with the Bengalis about the French cuisine. They are also, interested in their cuisine, and we are also, as Bengalis, we are interested in our cuisine. They take pride in theirs, we take pride in ours. They take siesta in the afternoons, we also take siesta in the afternoons. So there is a lot of similarity culinary-wise and culture-wise between the French and Bengalis. So I thought that who needs to understand the words, and who needs to understand what is being spoken, as long as it is French. I don't need to understand. No one needs to understand. It's music. It's French.
Right.
Okay. So that was the intention of using French music. And as far as the bards are concerned, both Kavi Nazrul and Rabindranath Tagore, I mean, my father and my mother, they had introduced me to recitation and poetry right in our childhood. Both my sister and me, we are like professional this elocutionists, and we do recitation.
Wow.
So Kavi Nazrul and Rabindranath were a part of our childhood, like these growing up years. And and since this was an Epar Bangla, Opar Bangla kind of a situation, I took up a poem of Kavi Nazrul, "Ay beheshte ke jabi aaye." Basically, come who wants to come to the paradise, "Ay beheshte ke jabi aaye," and turned it into a song, into the theme song of the film that we have used. From Opar Bangla and from Epar Bangla, we took up Rabindranath Tagore. And I somehow thought the poem that we had used in the film, Hotobhagyer Gan, the song of the unfortunate, or the less fortunate ones, and their struggles and their grit and their willpower to finally, achieve it, or to finally make it, or to finally win over their impoverished condition or their bad situation in any way, I took up these two poems and I just used them because I thought they lent themselves very beautifully to the situation.
Right.
And in the kitchen, it makes all the more sense because I have seen my mother. I still see my mother. She plays on a radio. She has got this little transistor, and this is a very old one, and she plays it in the kitchen when she is doing something, and the song is playing, Robindra Sangita or whatever, or these Bengali film songs of the golden days, So I thought that instead of playing on a transistor or a radio, let me introduce poetry in this. It could be something interesting.
Right.
So this is how
yes,
it happened.
it's beautifully done. So then a couple of other things that struck me. I could talk to you the whole day. That's how much I love the movie. I saw that each and every female character was unbelievably strong. It was just beautiful. Starting from Boshundhara, how much strength and resilience she had. With Raja's mother, who was also a side character, let's put it that way. With Raja's ex-girlfriend, Shahida, who went off by herself to Chanel and Dior and, to the best of the best fashion designers. And then to Atanu Babu's deceased wife, who started the catering business when when he was furloughed from his job. So I was, what were you thinking of? Because, much as we would like this ideal world where all human beings are the same, irrespective of their gender, sometimes in Indian societies, you don't generally see that, So I really appreciate the way you think and how you're portraying these characters. And talk to me a little bit more about where that motivation and inspiration came from.
I don't know. It happened very organically. I am very much influenced by strong women characters. And it has happened right from my childhood. I mean, I have had a strong mother at home who, a very strong mother and who's a very quiet lady. And but she's very strong from within and very independent. And I have seen my father supporting my mother. Like despite my father being the bread earner and my mother being the so-called homemaker, I have seen how my father has depended on my mother, for all the major decisions, and like they had a perfect relationship where it was in harmony. So I never saw from my childhood a very patriarchal kind of a thing at home. I never saw that, and I remember that if we ever used to misbehave with our mother, talk to her, or whatever, me or my sister, before my mother would react, it was my father who would, get at us. Then my elder sister, she is 4 years elder to me, and I have seen her as a strong woman as well. So from childhood, I have seen strong women and in my home. And otherwise, when I have, and now when I look around, I see a lot of things on the contrary, about what happens to the girl and what happens to the girl child, what happens to the girl otherwise, and a lot of other things which I feel I do not relate to, and I think that should not be what it is, So I believe that if that is the reality, then at least on film, on the screen, in cinema, we can show what can be, like hold a mirror to the society. That this is what can be, because that is what we can do. And so I somehow try to write strong women characters. Rinadi also told me, Upanashan also told me that your understanding of women comes from a very strong, you love women and you love, like emancipated women. And that is what she felt while I was writing Iti Minalini with her. And all my scripts, even my present script, it has a strong women character, So that is something organic, and that is what reflects itself in the society. And I think in the film, and I think that is films, or our films should be able to hold a mirror to our society, and kind of, that what is going on is not what is should be going on actually. I think it comes from there.
Right.
But it comes very organically. I don't get to do it with an agenda. It is not something that, okay, let me now write a progressive film. Okay, now let me write a few strong women characters. It doesn't happen like that. It happens organically.
Organically, yeah. And, it's almost being mirrored in the sense that, the three main characters who are Otanubabu, Raja, and Boshundhara, they have three other hidden characters, Boshundhara's deceased husband, Otanubabu's deceased wife, and Raja's ex-girlfriend. And so, it's a constant process of renewal, of finding yourself over and over again. Just like when you're cooking something, if something is not right, you get to self-reflect and to course correct and to find different ways of doing it. So you see that renewal, and it was especially poignant in the last scene when you see the little boy sitting on top of the table. I love that, to get that equal footing, I guess. And, reaching out for the salt when no one is looking, when his mother is not looking. So, it's the looking forward to the next phase. So do you think the story of Ishan will continue at some point, the little boy?
Yes, no, actually, to be honest, I'm very worried about Ishan, what is going to happen to Ishan now? He has, because to this whole family, because his father is a Muslim from Bangladesh and his mother is a Hindu. And we don't know what religion he belongs to, and whether India is going to allow them to stay back, or they have to move back to Bangladesh, or they have to go to some no man's land. It's something that we are toying with absolutely, because Ahaa Re will be having a second part. It will having a sequel, and that is why the young child has been introduced, as to try and follow his journey now, as to what happens hereafter. Because this has been a very hopeful film, but as all films are, this is not reality. But what is going to be the reality of Ishan, and what is going to be the reality of his parents now, Boshundhara and Raja, is what the subject of the sequel of Ahaa Re is going to be like. So I'm still going to find out.
Well, please know that you have a fan base here in North America. Yes. So I know that we are a little short on time, but I just wanted to ask you about the title, Ahaa Re. So, of course, it's a play on ahar, which means food. But Ahaa Re can be an expression of sympathy, of pity, of surprise, and a variety of very subtle emotional gestures that cannot be expressed in one or two English words. It is so, you know. So, how were you thinking when you named the film Ahaa Re?
Well, see, when I was writing this story and I thought what kind of a title I'm going to go with, of course, the word Ahaa came, and from there, as you said, Ahaa Re came. And then I had the same feeling, like just now what you mentioned, that, it should be an amalgamation of all these emotions, At the end of the film, the audience should be like, Ahaa Re. They should be feeling that kind of a thing, They should be having that kind of Ahaa Re. You can't explain it. Like you said, it is inexplicable.
Yes.
And it has a mixture of so many emotions in it. But at the end of it, the taste of it should be of contentment, and of a happy, and it should have a happy note to it. The title should have a happy note to it, with a tinge of sadness, maybe a pinch of humor, and a teaspoonful of this and a teaspoonful of that, that kind of a thing.
Yes.
Now, if I answer it, it would be like in retrospect. But when I decided on the title, it was very, again, organic. It was not something that I was, again, trying to do something on purpose.
Yes.
It was organic.
Right.
So yeah.
Wonderful. The main thing that I got from the film was not only just enjoying uh, the brilliant ways in which so many big and small themes had come together. The thing about feminism, class difference, religious difference, age difference, just a plethora of different multiplicities coming together, coexisting harmoniously. But, this whole idea that, one has to radically accept what is in front of you, what is before you, because the past is gone, it cannot be corrected. And that's why it was so touching, it was so poignant when each of them, Boshundhara and Raja, seek forgiveness from their parents, from those who they feel they have not been uh, just to, the element of justice, of retribution. And so this whole idea of really accepting with a full heart, with, like you said, with contentment, with a little mixture of this and that and the other, what we have been given. And it's a lot. It's a lot in many situations, if you are able to break from the grief and the sadness of the past.
So yes, I mean, we had this thing. I mean, we have our own needs and we have our own wants, and sometimes we do believe that what we have is not enough, and what we had or what we are not getting is something we want very badly. But we miss out on what is being held, what is being given to us right now on a platter,
Correct.
and we do not value that.
Right.
Yeah. So I think it comes from there. It comes from personal experiences. It comes from experiences that one has seen around oneself, and the need to appreciate what is right there in front of you, begging you to be chosen, begging you to be picked up,
Yes.
than thinking about a past which you do not have any control over. Things
Correct.
like this that one has seen, like around myself, within myself. So all these have probably come together in the subconscious, through the subconscious, and made its way into my laptop screen.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, Ranjan, it's such a pleasure for me to talk to you. And I just one last question: what do you what is your next project? Is it going to be the continuation of the Ishan story, or are you also simultaneously working on different projects with different people?
Yes, I mean, I just I have if all goes well, I'll be shooting my next film in February,
Okay.
and it is titled
I see.
Mahishasura Mardini,
Uh-huh.
and so that would be my next film. I have another film lined up with Aparna Sen, that she will be acting probably. And after that, I plan to do the sequel of Ahaa Re, because then there will be that, gap of 2 to 3 years. by which Ishan would have grown up, and I would have known the current political scenario of India, how it pans out for the ethnicities, different ethnicities, for the different religious communities, what happens to India. I would be knowing it better. So then I could, think about what happens to Ishan.
Fantastic. Well, a great good luck to you on your journey. And it's been such a pleasure to talk to you. And I think our viewing audience is going to love Ahaa Re. That is slated for Saturday, the 25th, I believe. Saturday, the 24th of October. And they will hear you talk. So thank you. And Rati will say a final few words.
Oh, thank you. Thank you,
so
Anu.
much.
That was a beautiful interview. Thank you, Ranjan. Your voice beyond your years. And I really enjoyed this beautiful interview. And I'm going to take away the concept of Vasudeva Kutumbakam. I think it's beautiful how you explained the whole thing about identity and the religion as a unifying rather than a divisive concept. And I really love that. Thank you so much for being here with us. And we look forward to your next production very soon. Thank you. Thank you to the audience as well for tuning in. Thank you, Anu. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ranjan. Yeah.